The next two torts on our list of intentional torts are false imprisonment and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Okay, false imprisonment is just what you think it would be. It's restraining another person's freedom of movement without any legal justification and without their consent. So this is how we get lawsuits when people are arrested under false pretenses. But you would be surprised where else false imprisonment torts can show up. It's the reason why retail store owners are terrified of getting sued for detaining people that might be shoplifters. And as you probably know, if you've worked as a clerk in a retail store, store owners are so terrified of being sued for false arrest or false imprisonment that they instruct their employees usually, if you try to stop a shoplifter, you will be fired. If you see a shoplifter, you're not to do anything but report it to the or the loss prevention person at the store, and he'll take care of it. So they have trained people that will detain a shoplifter, but the regular store clerks are not allowed to do that because they're afraid of lawsuits. By the way, though, in California, we have millions and millions of dollars of losses to shoplifting throughout the country, and it's a major dent in the profit of retail stores. And so because the retail store owners have such a problem with it, we have a special law in California that does permit a retail store owner to detain a suspected shoplifter. They can only use a reasonable degree of force to detain the shoplifter, and usually that's not much more than the loss prevention guy saying, "Will you please come with me?" And they can only detain a shoplifter for a reasonable amount of time, which usually is defined as much time as it takes for the police to get there when you call the police. But a retail store owner can detain a shoplifter, and they can be protected from liability for false arrest or false imprisonment. By the way, in California, they also get restitution. You have to pay them whatever the costs are to replace or restock the product, and there's a civil bounty or penalty of a certain, it's $20 or $50 or $100 that you have to pay the store if you're caught shoplifting. Now, before we leave the subject of shoplifting, there's one other thing I need to tell you. For years, I was a volunteer judge on the Placer County Peer Court. That's the court for teenagers. And while I was sitting as a judge there, one of the things that I saw over and over again, for some reason in Placer County, a huge number of young people that get in trouble with the law for shoplifting all get caught in one place, and it's in the big box stores at the Galleria Shopping Center. So I don't know what's different about their security at the Galleria Shopping Center, but I have seen so many young people get in trouble for shoplifting out of the Galleria Shopping Center that if I was you and I had a younger brother or a son or a daughter that said, "Hey, I want to go down and hang out at the mall," I would not let them go there unless I was physically there with them to watch their behavior. One other thing, though, about false imprisonment, and maybe I should have said this earlier, it is any restraint of someone else's freedom of movement without their consent may constitute a tort for which they can sue you. So if you're alone in a room with your boyfriend or your girlfriend and you're having an argument and one of you says, "That's it, I'm out of here," and the other one says, "No, you're not leaving here," stand in the doorway and stops them and says, "You're not leaving here until we finish this argument," that may be the tort of false imprisonment, because it is restraining someone else's freedom of movement without their consent. So watch out for false imprisonment. The second one on our list in this section of the course is intentional infliction of emotional distress. And this is a problem for lawyers, because people come into a law office all the time and they say, that guy hit my thumb and now I have a hangnail and I want $50 for the medical treatment for my hangnail on my thumb, but I suffered emotionally and I want $10 million for my emotional pain and suffering. Well, I'm sorry, but you don't get that. And you don't get an award of damages because somebody hurt your feelings. Human beings get into arguments, they call each other names, they insult each other, and that's all really too bad. It's bad behavior, but it doesn't rise to the level of legal actionable. It doesn't entitle you to damages. In order to recover damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress, and you can sometimes recover that, but it's pretty rare, someone has to do something to you that's really shocking and horrible. Someone treats you so badly that it would do damage to your human spirit. Then maybe you could recover damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress. But the general rule is everyday insults, nope, you're not going to recover damages for that. So that's intentional infliction of emotional distress.